All right. Strike update, day 5. I got my sign, went and did some picket duty today. It's kind of fun, you know? A lot of camaraderie. Can't complain about that. Had some hot dogs and some donuts and some coffee and hung out with people. Made me think about some things. Like, what is the purpose of picketing? So what I thought about, number one, I would say informing people who might not know what's going on. So, you know, a lot of people driving down the street, a lot of people see the picket line, and they might ask, "Oh, what's going on?" They see the sign on strike against Boeing. Now they can go look something up, or some people would stop and ask questions, which is great. So that was one purpose, to inform people, and also show the community how many people are serious, because there were a lot of people. Not really as many as I expected. Could have been the bad weather or whatever. Some people live kind of far away too. So, but there was hundreds and hundreds of people. I went and drove around to multiple gates with my sign in my car and kind of honked at everybody. So that was fun. The other use, at least from my perspective, being on the picket line, something that I it kind of came up with myself, is it's a way to gauge the community support. So there's a picket line, a lot of people see the sign, and as they're driving by, they're honking the horn, or they're giving a thumbs up, or they're waving.
All right.
Today I got lots and lots of horn honks, positive horn honks, people waving, lots of thumbs up, 2 thumbs downs, and there's also this other kind of honk that people do when they drive by, where they just lay on the horn right when they're driving by the picket line, and that always seemed like it was kind of rude, and I think that's sort of a negative honk, because it's more disruptive than just like, a series of small, quick beeps.
Right?
So I think that's sort of one of the ways they communicate their, displeasure for the strike. One lady pulled up, and she had a thumbs up, but it was pretty sarcastic. She said something along the lines of, "Your community hates you, and say goodbye to all your jobs." Me and the guys just kind of looked at each other like, okay. So, she didn't want to comment further, so took it with a grain of salt. Anyways, I was thinking about this wage increase. It seems to be a point of contention talking with people. So just mathematically, I'm going to use my Texas Instruments TI-84 here. For 8 years, 2016 to 2024, we were given a general wage increase of 1% every other year. So it's 4 1% GWIs. So if you do a quick calculation of 1% over 4 years, that is 4.1% increase. So from 2016 to 2024, our wages have gone up, not excluding the small COLAs that were rolled in every year, which only amounted to a couple dollars. It's 4.1% general wage increase. If we had maintained our 2% during that same 8 years, that would have been a 17% general wage increase. So the 2% GWI annually was pretty fair, because it was just designed to keep up with inflation, which from 16 to 20, that was typical inflation. 20 to 24 inflation was ridiculous. But we're going to talk about that after. So 17%, 17.2 is where we would be if we had just kept that. Instead, we're at 14.1. So, or 4.1. So we're 13% behind, essentially. Right now, the contract has us on year one an 11% increase, but also taking away the bonus, which was at the lowest. So we'll just say that it's 3%. So they want to do 11% year one, take away that potential 3% minimum, right? So that's really an 8% increase when we're 13% behind. So we're still now 5% behind. So then year two of this contract, we go up 4%. So in year two, we're now, you could say 1% behind, but then there would have normally been a 2% increase. So we're really still 3% behind. And then year three was another 4%. So that's really only adding 2%. And then year four was 6%. So that's like adding 4%. And at the end of it, it's a little bit more than 25% because of compounding. But mathematically, by the end of it sort of catches us up if we had stayed on 2% just the entire time. For the whole 12 years, if we had our 2% GWI, we would, by the end of 2028, we would have a 26.8% wage increase from 2016. So 25% over the next 4 years, plus the 4% we got, is, you could say, a 30% increase. So just the wage by itself, mathematically, isn't horrible. It would be better to catch up sooner, but in reality, the way that I calculated, it's not terrible. I think there are two things to consider, though. One is that inflation's been ridiculous. So even if we were still getting our 2%, inflation being 5% or whatever, the 2% doesn't keep up with that, not even close. So the effectiveness that our wages has against the economy has decreased dramatically. And I mentioned before, rent or buying a house, buying a car, gas, food, all of those things have gone up significantly. I'm not sure what the exact average is, but even if it was 50%, which I think is a low estimation, our wages have gone up 4%. And then in 4 years from now, they will be up 26% in total, or even let's say it's 30. So now we're still 20% behind the rate of inflation. So we're still not caught up. And the other point that people talk about and why this amount is unacceptable is because the CEO in 1 year got a 40% salary increase. And in the same year, it was either 1 or 0. I'm not sure if we had our 1% this year or if it was last year. So inflation being out of control and then the CEO getting a 40% salary increase in 1 year is what I see generally being the main point of contention with only offering 25% over the next 4 years, even though that would have been fair had the economy just sort of maintained. If the economy was doing what it was doing 2016 to 2020, everything would be fine. And I don't think there would be a lot of problems with it because we would have just been able to keep up. Those 2 points, that inflation is a lot higher than normal, and the CEO taking a 40% salary increase while we got our 1%. All right, well, that's it. So had a fun day striking. Hopefully the wage thing made sense. Keep them flying.